People think that the strange habits cats have are just instincts or random behavior, but almost everything cats do has a reason behind it. Today, we're going to break down 10 incredibly strange things cats are obsessed with, and some of them will surprise you, make you laugh, or completely change the way you look at your cat. Let's start with one of the strangest cat habits of all. Yes, we steal your things, especially socks, and sometimes much more personal items. Some cats shamelessly drag clothes across the house, dig through bags, and quietly steal whatever suddenly seemed more important and necessary to us than it was to you. And no, this is not an accident. We know exactly what we're doing. And when we leave fur absolutely all over your clothes, we're not even slightly ashamed of it. Once a cat chooses you as their personal human, your scent becomes the most familiar and safest smell in the world to us. That's why we sleep on your clothes, drag them around the house, or curl up on things you just took off, especially when they're still warm. Although socks still remain a completely separate category of feline obsession. There's another thing humans somehow find a lot less adorable than we do, especially when we don't just drink from your glass, but also carefully wash our paws in it afterward. And yes, some cats can sit there completely seriously, just waiting for the exact moment your cup, mug, or glass is finally left unattended. Cats naturally trust water that feels alive and constantly changing far more than water that's been sitting in a bowl for hours. And anything that belongs to our human automatically becomes a little more interesting to us. That's why so many cats drink from your glass with a completely serious expression, even when their own water is sitting literally half a meter away and is just as fresh. Although, to be completely honest, some cats, despite their obsession with cleanliness, still somehow manage to drink out of the toilet. And that one, you can interpret however you want. And now about the things humans somehow give way too much attention to. Laptops, keyboards, phones, books, or clothes you just carefully folded. Because all that time could have been spent paying attention to us instead. That's exactly why, the moment some object suddenly becomes too important to a human, a cat immediately feels the urgent need to inspect it, occupy it, or at the very least lie directly on top of it. And no, this is not always about warmth or your scent. Sometimes it's just simple feline jealousy. Which is exactly why so many cats sit directly on a keyboard with the most independent expression possible, the exact moment their human becomes especially busy. There's another thing we consider completely unacceptable: closed doors. Especially when our human is on the other side of them. And yes, many cats can loudly and very dramatically demand that a door be opened, only to stand in the doorway afterward, still unable to decide whether we actually want to go in or not. Humans, for some reason, are rarely patient about this. Most of the time, they very rudely try to push us so we make a decision faster. Cats simply hate when part of the territory, or the human themselves, suddenly becomes inaccessible. That's why so many cats start screaming outside bathroom doors, bedrooms, or even closets like something extremely important is happening in there, and we're about to miss all of it. There's another thing humans love to romanticize. When a cat brings them a toy, random trash, or sometimes even actual prey, many people naively think it's some kind of gratitude for love and care. But honestly, it's usually much simpler than that. Some cats are completely convinced that without us, humans are basically helpless and would never survive in the wild for very long. That's exactly why we sometimes bring people our gifts, because someone in this house still has to know how to properly hunt and survive. And judging by the way some humans struggle to open a bag of cat food without scissors, sometimes we genuinely start to worry a little. There's another thing humans somehow continue to completely misunderstand. Just because a cat is purring does not mean you can now pet us endlessly and however you want. Very confident assumption, honestly. Sometimes cats bite because the petting simply became too much, and sometimes, quite the opposite, from an overload of emotions. Cats are far more sensitive to touch than humans seem to realize. And what started as pleasant petting can very quickly turn either into irritation or emotional overwhelm. Yet humans somehow keep acting genuinely surprised that cats also have personal boundaries. Although honestly, Some cats are even more surprised to discover that apparently humans can't be bitten simply because we suddenly felt like it. What about our habit of obsessively sniffing your outdoor shoes? Because honestly, for us, it's almost like reading news from outside the apartment. Humans see shoes as just shoes, but for cats, they're an entire chaos of scents. Familiar, strange, new, pleasant, and sometimes extremely questionable. Especially considering that most indoor cats experience life almost entirely within the walls of an apartment. That's exactly why anything carrying the smell of the outside instantly becomes fascinating to us. Some cats inspect their human shoes so carefully, it looks less like sniffing and more like a full investigation. And perhaps one of the strangest cat habits is suddenly becoming attached to the one person in the room who doesn't even like cats, or who looks at us with mild confusion and genuine hope that we'll choose literally anyone else. But honestly, from a cat's perspective, those people often feel the most comfortable. They don't immediately grab at us, shove their hands in our face, or stare too intensely. And they're suspiciously good at respecting personal boundaries. In the end, cats are allowed to climb onto a human's lap without permission. Humans, for some reason, are usually not granted the same freedom, which is exactly why cats so often choose the one person in the room who wanted that attention the least. As you can see, most strange cat habits actually have very understandable reasons behind them. Some of these things probably already felt obvious to cat owners, while others may have helped you understand your cat a little differently. Either way, thank you for watching. And now we honestly want to hear about your cats too. What are their names, and what strange habits do they have? We read these stories very carefully and often find ideas for future videos in them. And if you want to understand cats a little better, all the strange, funny, and sometimes mysterious things they do every day, subscribe to the channel. Here, people finally start looking at cats a little more honestly.